The Season 2 story continues, with Suho killing all the magic beasts in a single strike. He struggles to understand how much stronger he has become. Suho observes the other hunters who have gained strength using his shadow equipment and notices how they are fighting. One of the hunters feels lighter after equipping the black armor and gains the confidence to take on the magic beasts. The hunter attacks a magic beast with his sword, and Suho feels happy seeing how the hunters are now able to fight back. Suho uses his shadow extraction skill on the magic beasts and activates his new skill called Shadow Creation. This skill allows him to disassemble a shadow and recreate it into whatever he needs. Using this ability, Suho creates a new item called the Naga Warrior Shoulder Guard for his upper body. He also crafts a gauntlet and a Naga Warrior belt for his waist. Suho gains another new skill called Shadow Item Contract, which has the special ability to level up weapons when they are given a name. Two magic beasts suddenly lunge to attack Suho, but Park Dojin jumps down and crushes the beasts. Suho is shocked by Park Dojin's strength, and Park Dojin smiles at him. A few more magic beasts try to attack Park Dojin, but he uses his amplification skill to kill them all with a single strike. The other hunters are stunned by his power, and Suho looks at him with a confused expression, wondering who he is. Meanwhile, everything is being broadcasted, and Jinho feels relieved to see Suho alive. Chairman Wu also feels relieved, and suddenly receives a call from Choi Jong-In. Choi Jong-In informs him that the black mask hunter Suho has appeared in the broadcast. On the other hand, Lim Taegyu charges towards Suho at high speed, believing he is responsible for the death of Lee Min-sung. Chairman Wu urges everyone not to use forceful methods to restrain Suho, as there is no clear evidence proving he is a criminal. Lim Taegyu angrily questions why Suho hides his face if he is not guilty, and feels confident that Suho is linked to Stardust. However, Choi Jong-in believes Suho is not a bad person, but still suggests bringing him to the Hunters Association. He also reveals that Suho is the nephew of President Jinho. Chairman Wu instructs Park Dojin to bring Suho to the Hunters Association, and Park Dojin reveals that Suho is standing right in front of him. Suho finally recognizes Park Dojin as the S-rank hunter and becomes confused about why Park Dojin is smiling at him. Park Dojin tells Suho that the guildmaster of the Grim Reaper Guild has ordered him to bring Suho to the Hunters Association. He also reveals that Suho is accused of being the main culprit behind Lee Min-sung's murder and is linked to Stardust distribution. Park Dojin advises Suho to come with him without causing trouble. Other hunters defend Suho, arguing that he saved them from the magic beasts. Despite this, Suho agrees to go to the Hunters Association. The hunters feel grateful for the armor Suho provided them. Suddenly, Suho takes back all the shadows, surprising the hunters. Park Dojin finds Suho intriguing and wonders how he has grown so strong in such a short time. He realizes that the star fragment will not work on Suho and decides to create a new type of star fragment capable of turning even S-rank hunters into believers. The hunters suddenly receive a disaster notice about a mass breakout of 500 prisoners from the correctional facility and how the prisoners are also in possession of Stardust. Suho stops in his tracks after hearing the news and suggests heading there to stop the escapees. Park Dojin disagrees, explaining that hunters from the association will handle the situation. Suho immediately uses his beast possession powers and promises to visit the Hunters Association later. He leaves at high speed, and Park Dojin finds this development interesting as it gives him a chance to observe how much stronger Suho has become. Meanwhile, the prisoners completely break out of the prison. One of the prisoners removes a chain made of mana stones and vows to take revenge on the Hunters Association for locking him up. He rallies the other prisoners, urging them to unleash their anger on everyone. The prisoner is revealed to be Hwang Dongsoo, an inmate from Jisan Correctional Facility. Meanwhile, it is announced to all citizens that there has been a large-scale breakout from Jisan Correctional Prison, and everyone is advised to evacuate the city. A prisoner uses his firepower to open the door of a house, and three of them enter to find no one inside the house. They change into suits, and one of them expresses concern about going up against the Hunters Association, since the association have S-rank hunters. Another prisoner reassures him not to worry and reveals that they have star fragments. He explains that the Hunters Association made star fragments illegal because they fear losing control over hunters if they become too powerful. They all feel confident knowing they also have an S-rank hunter on their side. Meanwhile, a kid hides inside a closet and watches everything in terror. The kid starts crying uncontrollably, and one of the prisoners opens the closet to find the kid inside. The rest of the prisoners begin killing hunters while Dongsuk watches from the top of a building. He feels powerful as everything unfolds according to his plan. Suddenly, another hunter advises advises Dongsuk to move quickly while the other prisoners buy them time. The hunter is revealed to be Kang Taeshik, who was requested by Dongsuk's brother to smuggle him out of the country. Dongsuk grabs Kang Taeshik by the collar and accuses him of looking down on him just because he is a B-rank hunter. Kang Taeshik feels irritated by Dongsuk's arrogance and thinks about how Dongsuk is too scared to use the star fragment because of its side effects. He briefly considers killing Dongsuk, but remembers his brother's warning not to mess up the plan of smuggling him out of the country. Kang Taeshik decides not to make an S-rank hunter his enemy and promises to get Dongsuk out of the country as requested by his brother. Both Chairman Woo and Choi Jong-In prepare to fight against the prisoners. Choi Jong-In suspects that someone powerful is involved in supplying star fragments to the prisoners. Suddenly, Lim Taegyu arrives with Park Dojin and informs them that Suho did not respond to the Hunters Association's summon. He reveals that Suho left a message stating he was heading to Jisan Correctional Facility. Lim Taegyu believes that Suho is the main villain behind the Stardust manufacturing and offers to join the mission to suppress him. Chairman Woo urges him to consider the possibility that Suho might be trying to help others at Jisan, but Choi Jong-in remains suspicious of Suho for hiding his true rank. Dojin knows he cannot go against the S-rank hunters with his current power level and wonders if Suho anticipated the possibility of the Hunters Association turning against him. Meanwhile, Suho rushes at high speed toward Jisan and pleads with Gray to hold on a bit longer until they reach their destination. As he finally arrives, he hears the desperate cries of people pleading for their lives all around the city. Suho gets down and sees prisoners mercilessly killing citizens. The prisoners notice Suho and recognize him as a hunter. They feel confident that Suho cannot stop them. Without hesitation, Suho strikes one of the prisoners to the ground and questions why they are hurting people when they have the chance to escape. He gives them two choices: either quietly pass out or resist and die. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a time when Suho was a child. He curiously asks his grandpa about the scars on his body. Sung Il-won explains that the scars are like medals from the times he tried to save many people in his life. Suho wonders why his grandpa went so far to save others. Sung Il-won responds that his body always acted before he could think whenever someone was in trouble, but not because he was afraid of getting hurt. Meanwhile, the scene shifts back to the fight between Suho and the prisoners. One of the prisoners brings out a star fragment, and all of them consume it to gain strength. The prisoners feel an overwhelming surge of power and believe they can even take down an A-rank or S-rank hunter. Suho angrily questions why they refuse to surrender peacefully. Suddenly, Lee Min-sung appears and mocks Suho for hesitating to fight the prisoners even though innocent people are dying. He accuses Suho of lacking the will to kill and calls him a rookie despite his newfound strength. Lee Min-sung taunts Suho to put a hole in his body just like before. Without hesitation, Suho kills one of the prisoners, and the prisoners are shocked to see this. They charge at him, but Suho counters by breaking one prisoner's hand with a punch. He follows up by cutting the prisoner's hand with a dagger, and the prisoners start trembling in fear. One prisoner is shocked to find that he cannot follow Suho's movements despite consuming a star fragment. Suho delivers a powerful punch, sending the prisoner crashing into a wall. The remaining prisoners jump at Suho from behind, but he uses his shadow manipulation to create large arrows that pierce through and kill them instantly. Lee Min-sung watches in amazement and remarks on how much Suho has changed in such a short time. He wonders why Suho goes so far to kill the prisoners instead of simply subduing them. He begins laughing sinisterly and declares that Suho has also become a monster. Suho calmly instructs Beru to consume the prisoners and find out who is responsible for their escape. Beru hesitates and asks Suho if he is truly okay with helping humans without hiding his identity. Suho explains that they cannot waste time fighting among the awakened hunters and emphasizes that their focus should be on fighting the apostles. He decides to stop hiding his identity and steps forward to unite everything that can be useful in their battle against the apostles. Suho makes it clear that he does not care about the methods he has to use to achieve his goals. Beru starts blushing and thinks Suho might intend to bring everything under his command. Suho understands the need to balance the number of prisoners with the number of allies and decides to use his shadow extraction skill to raise shadows. Meanwhile, a car is attacked by a group of prisoners. The person inside the car grabs the door and throws it at the prisoners. He feels frustrated that something bad has happened during his family trip. Baek Miho, the vice guild master of the White Tiger Guild, becomes enraged by the attack. Baek Yoonho, the guild master of the White Tiger Guild, transforms to fight against the prisoners. Both Baek Yoonho and Baek Miho finish off the prisoners. Baek Yoonho asks about the total number of escaped Prisoners, and Miho reveals that the total is 500. She further informs him that 3 S-rank hunters, along with the chairman from the Hunters Association, are arriving by helicopter to provide support. She mentions that Sung Suho, who is wanted for stardust manufacturing, is at the scene. Baek Yoonho feels like he has heard the name before but cannot recall where. He decides to prioritize the safety of the citizens. Miho reflects on how the current situation reminds her of the time when her father was a firefighter. Suddenly, both of them notice a black shadow nearby. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a hunter, and she starts shaking nervously. Another hunter in her party urges her to run away quickly, but is immediately killed by a prisoner. The prisoner is surprised to see the hunter go so far to protect his fellow hunter and asks if they were dating. The prisoner charges to kill her, but Suho suddenly uses shadow extraction on the dead hunter. The shadow stops the sword from killing the woman, and the prisoner begins trembling after seeing the dead hunter stand up. Suho observes how the dead hunter reacts to the shadow extraction and understands that he wants to protect his fellow hunter. Suho grants the shadow the strength needed to protect what is precious to him. The shadow charges forward and kills all the prisoners nearby. Suho uses shadow extraction on the killed prisoners and orders the new shadows to eliminate the remaining enemies. Beru feels delighted that everything is going according to Suho's plan, and Suho grows confident that he can wipe out all the prisoners soon. Beru boasts about how useful the Shadow Authority skill is, and Suho acknowledges its strength. Beru starts blushing after Suho praises the power of Shadow Authority. Suho smiles as he watches the hunter spend her final moments with her loved one and decides to let them have a whole day together. The woman remarks that her loved one looks like a completely different person when he is fighting the prisoners. Suddenly, Suho senses that some of his shadows have been killed and wonders if the mastermind is responsible for this. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Kang Taeshik as he begins killing all the shadows. Dongsuk urges him to finish them off quickly, but Kang Taeshik explains with irritation that he cannot lose to mere C-rank shadows when he is far above an A-rank hunter after consuming the star fragment. Suddenly, the shadows kneel down and Suho arrives at the scene. He immediately identifies Dongsuk as the main culprit behind the prisoner's escape. Dongsuk becomes furious that Suho is addressing him so casually. Suho directly asks if Dongsuk knows anything about the apostles, and Dongsuk agrees to provide information. He silently signals Kang Taeshik, and Kang Taeshik leaps forward to attack Suho. Suho quickly dodges the attack and moves directly toward Dongsuk. He observes that Dongsuk has no connection to the apostles and demands to know how he obtained the star fragment. Suho questions with anger why Dongsuk attacked the entire city. Dongsuk realizes that Suho is not an ordinary summoner-type hunter. Suho uses his raw strength to force Dongsuk to his knees and declares that he does not care if Dongsuk's brother is an S-rank hunter. Dongsuk reveals that his brother was the one who provided the star fragment and admits that the attack on the civilians was simply for his own amusement. His response enrages Suho, and Kang Taeshik senses that Suho is far more dangerous than he anticipated. Kang Taeshik considers abandoning Dongsuk to escape, but Park Dojin orders him to fight Suho and reveals that he wants to see how much stronger Suho has become. Kang Taeshik unleashes his full strength and uses his stealth skill to attack Suho with a dagger. Suho senses the attack and dodges immediately. However, Dongsuk is caught in the attack and is completely cut down, dying instantly. Beru observes the situation and informs Suho that he senses the power of the apostles within Kang Taeshik. Kang Taeshik charges forward using his stealth skill and eliminates the remaining shadows. He continues to attack Suho relentlessly and lands multiple strikes that leave cuts on his body. Suho quickly understands that the enemy has the power of an assassin's stealth attack, but uses his heightened senses to track Kang Taeshik's footsteps. Despite this, Suho is only able to dodge the attacks and cannot find an opening to counter. Park Dojin watches the fight and remains unsure if Suho can defeat an opponent with the power of an upper A-rank hunter. Suho suddenly reveals his intention to confront the apostles to Park Dojin. He explains that he previously avoided revealing his identity because of the high risks involved. Suho questions why the apostles remain hidden and only use stardust to brainwash people. After thinking deeply, he concludes that the apostles are also growing entities just like him. Suho decides to stop hiding his identity and declares that the apostles should also step out of the shadows. He uses his shadow power to block Kang Taeshik's vision and leaps toward him. Suho pierces Kang Taeshik multiple times with a shadow weapon and leaves him incapacitated. Park Dojin starts bleeding from one of his eyes, but covers it and begins smiling. Suho uses his shadow extraction skill to raise the shadows of both Kang Taeshik and Dongsuk. He demands to know the number of deaths they caused and punishes them by forcing them to fight alongside him forever. Suho activates his shadow creation skill and both shadows scream in pain as they are broken down into an armor and a hero-grade ring. The system prompts Suho to name the ring. Suho notices that the ring is of the murderer type and immediately names it Kira. The ring grants him a new skill called Stealth. Suho feels excited to see his first hero-grade item and grows more confident about reaching his father's strength more quickly. Suddenly, some of his shadows are destroyed and Suho senses how they were eliminated. He realizes that an enemy is approaching rapidly and the enemy charges toward him by breaking through a building. Suho sees the transformed Baek Yoonho and initially thinks it might be a magic beast. However, Baek Yoonho reveals that he is not a magic beast, but the guild master of the White Tiger Guild. Baek Yoonho asks for Suho's name, and Suho reveals it while adding that he is wanted by the Hunters Association. Suho insists that he is innocent of the crimes he is accused of. Baek Yoonho becomes excited to see Sung Suho boldly admitting that he is accused of a crime. He tells Suho to prove his innocence first, but Suho requests to set that aside for now, as saving people should be the priority. Suddenly, Baek Yoonho recalls his time with Sung Il-hwan when he was a firefighter. Sung Il-hwan once told him never to hesitate for even a second when it comes to saving lives. The name Sung Suho feels very familiar, and he quickly grabs Suho asking if he is the grandson of Sung Il-hwan. Baek Yoonho transforms back into his human form and becomes overjoyed to meet Captain Sung's grandson. Meanwhile, military officers gather to evacuate people, and one of them worries that their weapons will not work against the awakened beings. The officers notice that the city's environment feels strange. Meanwhile, Baek Yoonho continues fighting against the prisoners, and Suho joins him in the battle. Baek Yoonho feels impressed that Suho can fight so well despite having summoning skills, and recalls how Sung Il-hwan always spoke highly of Suho. Suho acknowledges Baek Yoonho's incredible strength and understands that S-rank hunters are on a completely different level. Baek Yoonho starts laughing and tells Suho to just call him uncle. Suho worries that the noise from their fight might cause other prisoners to hide, and Baek Yoonho jokingly calls him a rookie rescue squad member. He explains that their main goal is to save people and not to fight the prisoners. Baek Yoonho lets out a powerful roar that shakes the entire area and reveals that their approach is more effective for rescuing people. Suddenly, Baek Yoonho asks Suho if he has a girlfriend, and Suho responds that he does not. Baek Yoonho sees this as the perfect opportunity to suggest that Suho marry his daughter, hoping to form family ties with Sung Il-hwan. Meanwhile, Chairman Woo receives a call, and Baek Miho gathers all the citizens to evacuate safely. They notice a large number of shadows in the city, and Lim Taegyu offers to handle both the prisoners and the shadows. Chairman Woo tries to stop him, but Lim Taegyu jumps out of the helicopter and scans the area for shadows. He fires a massive volley of arrows and wipes out all the shadows in an instant. Suho becomes worried after seeing this, but Baek Yoonho reassures him that Lim Taegyu is on their side. Suho feels relieved knowing there are S-rank hunters to fight the prisoners, but Lim Taegyu sees Suho as a threat. He recalls how Lee Min-sung died because of the stardust manufacturing and blames Suho for his death. Lim Taegyu launches an arrow at Suho, but Baek Yoonho blocks it before it can hit him. Lim Taegyu accuses Baek Yoonho of associating with a criminal, and Baek Yoonho tries to explain that it is all a misunderstanding. However, Lim Taegyu refuses to listen and calls Suho a villain. Baek Yoonho realizes that Lim Taegyu's anger stems from the death of Lee Min-sung and tries to reason with him, but Lim Taegyu angrily demands to know Baek Yoonho's relationship with Suho. Baek Yoonho understands that words will not work and transforms into his beast form. Both S-rank hunters power up ready to fight, and Suho worries that their battle might cause large-scale destruction. Suddenly, they are surrounded by intense flames, and Choi Jong-In steps in, requesting them to cool their heads. Suho is surprised to see all the S-rank hunters along with the chairman of the Hunters Association. Baek Yoonho reveals that Suho is the grandson of Sung Il-hwan and decides to vouch for his innocence. Baek Yoonho's daughter looks irritated and argues that Suho being Sung Il-hwan's grandson is not enough to prove his innocence. Choi Jong-in agrees, stating that Suho broke their trust by not showing up when the association summoned him. Lim Taegyu gives Baek Yoonho a final warning to step aside and threatens to subdue him if he does not comply. Baek Yoonho insists that they should talk before taking action. Chairman Woo steps in to defend Suho and suggests that they give him a chance to explain himself. He believes that Suho can prove his innocence if they allow him to speak. Meanwhile, Chairman Woo reflects on why he recovered his memories from the past timeline. He understands that he gained those memories to help Suho in Jinu's absence. Choi Jong-in interrupts his thoughts and states that this is not the right place to talk. He accuses Suho of faking his rank and being involved in stardust manufacturing, as well as the killing of Lee Min-sung. Lim Taegyu insists that Suho should be arrested immediately. Chairman Woo considers that arresting Suho might be the correct decision, but still chooses to stand by Suho, even if it means losing the trust of the other S-rank hunters. Choi Jong-in cannot understand why Chairman Woo is making such an unusual decision and fears that this conflict might push Lim Taegyu to fight against the Hunters Association. He questions why Chairman Woo is going so far to defend Suho. Suho calmly remarks that there is no need to fight and decides to prove his innocence. He activates his shadow powers, but Chairman Woo urges him to stop. Lim Taegyu refuses to let Suho escape again and fires an arrow at him. The arrow strikes Suho and Baek Yoonho becomes worried. However, Suho successfully executes his plan and strikes Lim Taegyu with a shadow key. Lim Taegyu collapses to his knees as he begins regaining memories of the past timeline. He is overwhelmed and struggles to believe what he is seeing. Beru observes the situation and understands that Suho attempted to restore all of Lim Taegyu's memories. Suho does not wait and immediately leaps toward Choi Jong-in to restore his memories as well. Choi Jong-in counters with his flames and calls Suho reckless for attacking him so directly. Despite the flames, Suho emerges and continues his effort. Both Park Dojin and Miho intervene and kick Suho away. Suho coughs up blood but manages to place the shadow key on Choi Jong-in. Choi Jong-in begins regaining his memories of the past timeline, and Suho knows he has accomplished what he needed to do. Miho moves to strike Suho again, but Lim Taegyu suddenly starts speaking about his new memories, which causes her to stop. Lim Taegyu begins crying uncontrollably, and Choi Jong-in also breaks down after regaining his memories. Suho explains that the memories they are seeing are from a world that was reset by his father. Choi Jong-in quickly connects the dots and asks if this is related to Sung Jinu. Suho is impressed by how quickly Choi Jong-in figured out his father's involvement. Park Dojin is surprised to hear the word father, and Suho reveals that his father is currently fighting against the apostles in the outer world. The story sounds unbelievable to the S-rank hunters, but they are convinced by the truth of it. Chairman Woo further explains that he used his memories from the previous world to create the Hunters Association and reveals that stardust manufacturing is connected to the apostles. Chairman Woo asks why Suho never revealed the truth earlier. Suho explains that he feared becoming a weakness for his father if the apostles discovered his identity. The S-rank hunters are shocked to learn that Suho is a growth-type hunter, just like his father. Choi Jong-in suddenly grabs Suho's hands in excitement and reveals that Suho's mother was once part of his guild in the previous world. Suho becomes happy to learn that his mother was a hunter. Park Dojin feels irritated that Suho made such a bold move against the apostles and is confused about why Suho revealed his growth-type abilities to everyone. Baek Yoonho still struggles to understand the situation and listens as Suho reveals his intention to restore the memories of everyone present. Park Dojin is shocked to hear this and realizes that he is in trouble as he has no memories of the past timeline. Miho refuses to believe that such a thing is possible and worries it might be dangerous for her father. Baek Yoonho grabs Suho's hand and expresses his trust in him. The shadow key is placed inside Baek Yoonho, and Miho urges her father to think carefully before acting. Baek Yoonho's entire body begins shaking, and he starts crying just like the others. Park Dojin observes the situation and understands he is in a difficult position. Miho then requests Suho to restore her memories, and Park Dojin grows anxious that his real identity might be exposed if he does not gain any memories from the past timeline. He considers gathering all his believers to start a fight, but knows he still cannot win against the Hunters Association. Suddenly, Miho reveals that she did not regain any memories, and Suho finds it strange. Baru emerges and explains that Miho might be someone who was never present in the past timeline. Miho is surprised to see Beru and calls him a tiny, weak insect. Beru becomes furious and threatens to tear her apart. He continues his explanation, stating that Miho was never born in the past timeline, which is why she did not regain any memories. Park Dojin sees this as an opportunity and inserts the shadow key into himself. He lies about not recalling any memories, and Suho assumes that Park Dojin was also never born in the past timeline. Miho feels disheartened upon learning that she never existed in the past timeline, while Chairman Woo marvels at how Suho's father was able to save peace all by himself. Suho declares that he will not allow the outer gods to destroy their world and asks everyone to lend their strength to him. Meanwhile, news about the events at Jisan Correctional Facility is broadcast to the public. It is revealed that Suho, with his new summoning skill, was the key figure in saving countless citizens. The announcement highlights that Suho was the first person to arrive at the location and that he underwent a reawakening during the crisis. Elsewhere, Dongsuk watches the news and realizes that Suho is the reason his brother is dead. Meanwhile, Suho questions why the announcement referred to his actions as a reawakening. Chairman Wu explains that the public would more easily accept the idea of Suho undergoing a reawakening. Choi Jong-In adds that revealing Suho as a growth-type hunter would create chaos and lead people to judge him in their own ways. Choi Jong-In recalls the 3 goals that Suho is working to achieve. Suho explains that his first goal is to grow stronger so he can fight alongside his father. His second goal is to gather all the hunters who are capable of fighting against the apostles. He further shares that his final goal is to defeat the Atarim of the apostles in their world so he can join his father in battle. Choi Jong-in explains that passion alone is not enough to defeat the apostles, and that influencing people in the right way is equally important to ensure they follow him. Suho agrees with Choi Jong-in and asks if they are willing to help him fight against the apostles. Baek Yoonho declares that his guild will fight alongside Suho and admits that Suho's actions have moved his heart. Choi Jong-in also agrees to join Suho, stating that he does not want outsiders to destroy the earth. Chairman Wu, however, worries that Lim Taegyu might not agree to cooperate with Suho. Lim Taegyu questions Suho directly, asking if he is the one who killed Lee Min-sung. Suho admits that he is and explains that Lee Min-sung was addicted to stardust and possessed by the Itarim. Lim Taegyu asks why Suho approached Lee Min-sung in the first place, and Suho explains that he discovered Lee Min-sung was helping the apostles. Lim Taegyu already knows that Suho is not at fault and does not understand why he is still asking questions. Suho guesses that Lim Taegyu wants to know about Lee Min-sung's final moments and reveals that Lee was smiling before he died. Lim Taegyu does not understand why Lee was smiling, and Suho explains that he sensed a kind of bitterness in his smile. Suho adds that one thing is certain: Lee Min-sung never lost himself until the very end and left a strong impression on him. Lim Taegyu finally agrees to cooperate with Suho's goal, and Chairman Wu feels relieved that Suho has gained the cooperation of all 3 major guilds. Chairman Wu reflects that Suho is not like his father, but sees something in him that reminds him of his own days as a hunter. Suho decides to reveal his plan for moving forward toward their goal, and his plan shocks and terrifies all 3 guildmasters. Chairman Wu feels that Suho's plan will bring a storm of blood to the Hunters Association. Meanwhile, Suho completes his daily quest with Amut and collapses to the ground from exhaustion. Amut is surprised that Suho managed to carry out the training alone. Suho explains that his body feels uncomfortable if he does not complete his daily quest. Esil notices that Suho has changed since the last time she saw him. Suddenly, Suho announces that he is leaving, which disappoints both Esil and Gray. Suho explains that he needs to remove all the field-type dungeons and that he promised the higher-ups in the Hunters Association to take care of them. Suho requested the Hunters Association's cooperation to remove the field-type dungeons to prevent stardust manufacturing facilities. The association members worry that other guilds might object to this plan, but Suho promises to fulfill his commitment to clear the dungeons. Both Esil and Gray feel excited and hope that the young monarch will call them for help. Suho leaves without clarifying whether he will request their help, leaving both Esil and Gray feeling sad. Meanwhile, a group of hunters gathers for a raid in a D-rank field-type dungeon. Miho does not understand what the guild masters are thinking. She knows this will cost every guild a lot of money and feels confused about how Suho, a single person, could clear a dungeon. Ki-hoon, an A-rank hunter from the Hunters Guild, asks for more information about Suho. Miho explains that Suho only called them to fill up the spots. Ki-hoon becomes excited to see a single hunter clear an entire dungeon by himself, but Miho believes it is just an exaggeration. Suddenly, a large earthquake shakes the area, and both Miho and Ki-hoon are surprised to see Suho emerging from the dungeon with a group of shadows. Suho reveals that he cleared the dungeon boss quickly, but took more time to carry out the essence stones. Both Miho and Ki-hoon are shocked to see the large quantity of mana stones, and Suho requests to move to the next field-type dungeon immediately. Meanwhile, at the Hunters Association, Choi Jong-in worries if entrusting all the dungeons to Suho is the right decision, as he feels he is losing endless mana stones in the process. Baek Yoonho teases him, calling him the incarnation of greed. Choi Jong-in is surprised that Lim Taegyu handed over most of his dungeons to Suho without any resistance. Lim Taegyu explains that he is willing to do anything to eliminate stardust, which drove Lee Min-sung insane. Choi Jong-in fears that the apostles might be similar to the monarchs from the past timeline and doubts their ability to fight against such monsters. Baek Yoonho recalls his encounter with the monarch of Fangs and feels terrified. Chairman Wu tries to lift their spirits, explaining that that encountering the apostles is unavoidable and expressing his belief that Suho will handle the field-type dungeons. The scene shifts back to the time before Suho entered the field-type dungeon. Choi Jong-In advises Suho to persuade both Miho and Park Dojin, as they might not believe in the existence of the apostles. Chairman Wu reveals that there is a way to convince everyone if Suho can persuade the national-level hunters. He explains that the 3 national-level hunters are Thomas from America, Liu Jigang from China, and Siddharth Bachchan from India. Chairman Wu reveals that these hunters possess strength rivaling entire nations and believes they could convince other hunters to help if Suho also becomes a national-level hunter. Suho starts sweating at the thought of national-level hunters and promises to become one within a month to persuade all the hunters. The scene shifts back to the present, where Chairman Wu meets with all the guilds to convince them to hand over the field-type dungeons. Meanwhile, Suho continues fighting against magic beasts in the field-type dungeon. He finally kills the boss using his shadow weapon and walks out of the dungeon after clearing it. Both Miho and Ki-hoon are shocked to see Suho clear 8 field-type dungeons in just 2 days. Ki-hoon is impressed that Suho managed to finish the dungeons alone and senses that Suho's mana grows stronger with each dungeon he clears. Suho also feels his mana increasing and grows more confident in controlling his shadow authority. Baru offers to compare Suho's mana with Park Dojin's, but Suho reveals that he can already sense Park Dojin's mana that he has grown stronger. Suho returns to his house and finds Dongsuk waiting for him inside. Dongsuk looks at a picture of Suho's parents and reveals that he would have killed them if his family had arrived at the house first. Dongsoo drops the photo of Suho's parents and crushes it under his foot. Suho stares at Dongsoo with a cold expression and recognizes him as the S-rank hunter Hwang Dongsoo. He recalls the moment when Chairman Wu informed him that Dongsoo is the biological brother of Dongsuk and that there are rumors linking him to the Jisan Correctional Facility incident. Chairman Wu warned Suho to run if he ever encountered Dongsoo. Suho calmly states that he is not the one who killed Dongsuk and explains that Kang Taeshik was responsible for his brother's death. Dongsoo is surprised that Suho even knows about Kang Taeshik. He explains that he does not care about his brother's death and reveals that he came because he was angry that someone like Suho sabotaged his plans. Suho understands that Dongsoo is beyond saving and tells him to go to another place to fight. Dongsoo refuses, and Suho suddenly punches the wall. He explains that hunters will arrive in 5 minutes since his house is secured by a security company set up by his uncle. Dongsoo becomes excited by Suho's quick thinking and agrees to move. They both head to an old construction site. Dongsoo observes Suho's calm demeanor despite knowing he is facing an S-rank hunter. He guesses that the rumors about Suho's reawakening might be true. He questions if Suho is also an S-rank hunter, and Suho responds that he has not been reassessed yet. Suho then asks how Dongsoo managed to obtain the star fragments. Dongsoo assumes that Suho is interested in the fragments and explains that it has become harder for him to acquire them. Suho realizes that Dongsoo is not getting the fragments from the apostles. Dongsoo smirks and remarks that only weak people rely on stimulants. He equips a knuckle made of mana crystals and declares that not all S-rank hunters are equal. Suho notices that Dongsoo is stronger than Lim Taegyu and acknowledges that this is his first time fighting an S-rank hunter. Despite this, he charges at high speed to test his strength. Dongsoo stomps on the ground, causing concrete to rise, and uses it to attack Suho. He questions why a summoner-type hunter would attack head-on and tells Suho to summon his black soldiers. He hurls debris at Suho, slamming him into a wall. Suho struggles to get back on his feet, but senses danger approaching. Dongsoo attempts to stomp on him, but Suho dodges at the last second. Suho kicks Dongsoo in the face, but Dongsoo barely feels it and calls it a tickle. He punches Suho away and continues his relentless assault. Suho realizes the vast difference in their strength and recalls his battles against the baby Suho and the Suho from another timeline. He notes that the pressure now is nothing compared to back then. Dongsoo notices Suho's momentary distraction and kicks him away. Suho counters with a shadow weapon, catching Dongsoo off guard. Baru grows worried about Suho as the fight intensifies. Suho acknowledges that fighting an S-rank hunter without abilities is nearly impossible. Suho rises and considers using all his points to increase his strength. Instead, he decides to distribute the points across all his abilities and crafts a large number of shadow items to cover his entire body. He uses all his points to enhance his abilities and levels up to rank 42. Suho challenges Dongsoo to a second round and promises to fight with his full strength. Dongsoo becomes irritated by Suho's transformation, but something about the shadow power strikes a chord in his mind. He begins to feel an uncontrollable terror as he recalls his time as a shadow under Suho's father in the previous timeline. He remembers that his name was Greed in that timeline, and the familiarity of Suho's power leaves him shaken.